Just a reminder before today's programme that the previous numbered instalment of the Now Review is available to watch, where we looked at Now 106. Also, the previous instalment of the Now Review of the spin-offs, we took a look at the most recent release, Now 100 Hits, Dance. And now, here on AMTV, it's time we continued our retrospective Now Dance journey by heading to the year 2001. Hi there guys, it's Adam Martyn here, and welcome back to another instalment of the Now Review. And we are back on the dance journey after long last as we continue our look back through the Now Dance series, and we have reached Now Dance 2001. Now the first thing you'll probably notice is the year 2001 was apparently spread out across 2 releases. This began the trend of releasing 2 albums to, well, commemorate a year in dance, which I think is a good idea. It harkens back to, some of the stuff they did in the 90s where they do Volume 1 and Volume 2. Now they call them Part 1 and Part 2, so I'm all for it as long as the track lists justify what's on here. Is it worth it, basically? Now, funnily enough, from what I can gather, Now Dance 2001 Part 1 was released in the year 2000, I'm presuming towards the end of the year, and Now Dance 2001 Part 2 was released in 2001, so it sort of straddles before and after 2001 takes place, which I think is an interesting choice all told. But then again, from memory, the Now Dance 2000 release did come out in 1999, so there's a bit of precedent for it. First of all, let's talk about the covers. They're still keeping in with the Now Dance font. I've always enjoyed the Now Dance font, to be honest, that sort of 90s tube design that was very common at the time. It still went into the 2000s, but I think it works really well for these releases. It's what you'd see in a lot of clubs, and it's quite synonymous with dance, I think. Now we'll look at these individually, though, and talk more about them. So we will start with Now Dance 2001 Part 1. So here's Part 1, and, it's grey and white all over, which, the white does pang out nice against the grey, don't get me wrong, but I just think it looks a bit lackluster. It's very dull colours, they don't really pop out much apart from the white. I'm just not a fan of grey, basically. Grey and black like colour schemes, they can pass. You can see it's 2 CDs from the spine there, and it with the little Virgin logo in the bottom left. But of course, we need to look at the all-important track list. Okay, so disc 1, as we've got 2 releases, I'm not going to go through the track list individually, so you'll just have to read it for yourself. We've got Spice Girls, got Britney Spears, Mojo with Lady Hear Me Tonight is a great song. As you can see, they're already mixing the sort of dance and pop thing again. Look at track 10 there, Robbie Williams, Rock DJ. I wouldn't say that's a dance song per se, it's more of a pop song, so they're really leaning into pop here. You got a bit of Kylie Minogue on there as well, who was really big at the time. Moby, of course, great dance artist. Grace Jones, Pull Up to the Bumper. Big tunes there. Tom Jones and Moose T with Sex Bomb, that was a great remix at the time. And you got Billie Piper finishing off disc 1 with Something Deep Inside. 21 tracks on disc 1, not bad at all. Disc 2, you got Storm, you got Darude with Sandstorm, iconic song of course. York with OTB. Darillion with Silence is an absolutely excellent song, highly recommend that. You've got Element 4 with the Big Brother UK TV theme, because in 2000 Big Brother had just taken off here, and it was a huge success. And to be honest, I don't watch Big Brother nor like it, but the theme, I'm not gonna lie, the theme is an absolute banger. Melanie C, I Turn to You, that's also a great song. You Take My Breath Away by Surreal. CRW with Lovin', like that song too. Watergate, Merry Christmas from Still Lawrence, or Heart of Asia, again a brilliant song. And we finish off with True Faith feat. Dub Conspiracy with Freak Like Me. So there's 22 tracks on there. So on this release alone there is 43 tracks, which is huge. So that is your track list for this first release alone, 43 great tracks. And it's got to be said, they are really mixing the pop and dance genres now. I think there's no apology. It's not just straight hardcore dance anymore like it was in the early 90s. And I know I'm personally fine with that. I know a lot of people aren't. I know a lot of people want the Now Dance albums to be strictly dance music. And you could argue it's subjective what constitutes as a dance song. There's probably songs I've mentioned here that are pop songs that you could argue are dance songs, but they're really starting to mix things up. Looking inside, there is disc 1. It's sort of grey with the black title. The title's readable, and I like that it's not overly flashy. I actually really like it when these dance album discs are very simplistic, but it's grey again. And CD 2 is also very grey. In a nutshell, though, I think this one's a really strong album. You've got some just straight up big hits on here. The fact they've got the Big Brother theme on here, that's a big win for me. You got Sandstorm on here, although I swear Sandstorm was early in 2000, but I could be wrong. You've got some Spice Girls, Robbie Williams, Kylie Minogue, and a great list of DJs on here. But again, just going into it, remember this is really a mix of pop and dance on this album. So now let's look at the sequel. So here is the second part, Now Dance 2001 Part 2. And first of all, this cover is much better. It has the same font, of course, which I'm cool with. White background, but with purple trims. Purple trims on a white background looks gorgeous. It makes this album really pop and stand out, and I'm just really happy they went with this design. I'm also glad how the part 2 at the bottom there isn't like part of the main logo. It's what it needs to be. It's a small part of the case right at the bottom just to catch your attention, just so you know it's a completely different album. So let's have a look at this album's track list. Okay, Rio de Silva, Touch Me, that's a big one. I put a Spell on You's on here. I'll just let you scan down there. Of course, this was quite a good time for dance music, I think, the early 2000s. If you're talking about hardcore dance music. Pop music's debatable, I mean, it's what I grew up with. Whole Again by Atomic Kitten there, which is really pop, although that's a remix, I notice. And Kylie Minogue's back on her again. Alice DJ, who was cranking out big hits at the time. And the finishing one on this is Aurora with My Desire. So that's 22 tracks on disc 1. Let's shimmy on over to disc 2. There you got the Gorillaz on here. They got a big fan base, of course. Fly Away there, big song. Blood is Pumping, Feel the Beat. And this one finishes with Saint Germain and Rose Rouge. I've got to be completely honest, although I really prefer this cover to the part 1, I do think part 1 has a better track list. That's just me personally, of course. I mean, there's less songs on here that, well, A, I know, and that I'm also thinking are synonymous with, like, my experience with dance music and stuff. So, yeah, part 1's got the better track list, I'm afraid. Now, some of you might be out there watching, screaming at me, saying, what are you talking about? This has the best track list ever. But unfortunately, it's not really doing it for me that much. But I'll tell you what is doing it for me, the disc, which is this lovely purple hue with the white text carrying on from the cover. The part 2's nicely just put there, and I think that's a gorgeous disc design. Part 2 is predictably the same colour, but I mean, considering it's this lovely purple hue against the white text, I do not have a problem with that. So stacking these two side by side, which one should you go for? Well, I think I've made my feelings pretty clear. If I had to pick just one of these, I would go with Now Dance 2001 Part 1, but that is primarily for the track list. There's more songs I know, there's more songs that connect with me in terms of dancing or going out to dance. So that's my personal pick. Some of you might prefer Part 2. In terms of availability, these were released on CD, and I think these were released on cassette as well. You might have to double check that. The CDs are dead easy to get. I got each of these for about £1 each off online, second hand, but I mean, you can probably find these in many charity shops and stuff. They're very easy to get your hands on. In terms of whether you should get them, I mean, dance fans will probably do it, but again, remember, really at this point in the Now Dance line, they are crossing over with the mainstream pop charts, whereas in the early 90s it was more about like hardcore dance, maybe stuff you wouldn't see in the charts. Now, it's all about that synergy. Maybe that was done to like help boost the sales of Now Dance, having that pop, you know, that pop recognition. Who knows? I don't mind it as such. Some people might, but just bear in mind you're going to get some pop hits as well as your dance stuff. But that is all for this installment of the Now Review. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please leave a like on the video and let me know in the comments, do you own Now Dance 2001 Parts 1 and 2, and what format do you own it on as well? Leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you're brand new for more Now content, and until the next one, I will see you all next time. This program has been brought to you in part by our producer and director patrons. With your support, you help keep AMTV running and the programs coming to your screens. Thank you. And that does bring us to the end of another evening here on AMTV. We hope you enjoyed the program, and we hope to see you next time. Good night.